So what's the deal with Trump's UFO files? Did we actually see anything interesting there and maybe even prove that aliens exist? What is this star? What was photographed on the moon? I briefly mentioned this data release in my previous video. I quickly went through some of the images, but the video was about a different topic and I didn't really have enough time. So today we'll take a closer look at it. Some of the footage and pictures in particular went viral online, and while not everything has been explained yet, a lot of it actually can be explained fairly well. Naturally, the whole story caused a huge stir on the internet. Many people are presenting it as if the US government practically admitted that aliens exist. As usual, there are also those who confuse UFOs with aliens, or as they are now called, UAPs. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. People tend to see it as, well, this information was classified, so there must be something suspicious there. And now that we've seen it all, we supposedly know that aliens are visiting Earth. Of course, that's not actually the case. An archive of photos, videos, and documents was published that show and describe objects and phenomena that have no obvious explanation. This situation strongly resembles the story with the videos published by the Pentagon a few years ago. There too, there were real videos filmed by fighter jet pilots, but no immediate explanation was found or even attempted, and then the media hype began, objects allegedly breaking the laws of physics and all that kind of narrative. Although after the release to the general public, thanks to the on-screen information and telemetry, it became possible to calculate the speed quite accurately, for example, and determine that there was no anomalous behavior violating the laws of physics there. If that on-screen information hadn't been available, it would have been a bit more difficult. But as it is clear that these are ordinary Earth-based objects, plus some optical illusions, plus artifacts from infrared cameras and optics. This time the difference is that there are more videos and photographs, and also in the fact that this time, for some reason, all the on-screen information has been blacked out. So now we can't properly calculate anything. Thanks. Today we'll focus specifically on the photos and videos. We'll look at the documents separately another time if there is anything worth noting there. Right now the main hype is centered around the photos and videos. So Trump promised to declassify UFO data, and now the first release of these files has happened. Files that, as they claim, no one has seen before. Right from the start, this already begins to be somewhat misleading. Has no one seen photographs from Apollo missions, which have been publicly available in good quality for a very long time? And even that strange star that is being circulated the most on social media is not new. This is the thread about this star on the MetaBank website dating back to 2024. So the object itself has been known for a long time. The only difference is that a video has now been also published. And that's not all. Some of the materials on the list have already been published before. The vast majority of the photos and video materials, of course, are not impressive at all. What they put on the main page as examples is mostly just dots. That strange visualization, which as I already mentioned in the previous video was simply a reconstruction based on descriptions from supposed witnesses, so of course it's not a real photograph of an object, and that's obvious from the image itself. Many of the objects appear only as points and it's not even possible to make out their shape. Here for example is a video of such an object. It's just a white point flying. What may look like a change in trajectory is actually often caused by camera movements, not the object itself. And there are many similar videos. Some dots are flying around, and due to the parallax effect, their speed appears to be high, like in the case of this balloon for example. We don't know exactly what these dots are, but they could easily be things like balloons, plastic bags, some debris, birds, drones, and so on. Many of these videos are even less impressive than those older Pentagon videos. This time, however, the telemetry has also been blacked out, so we can't calculate anything at all. We don't know the distance to the object, we can't easily estimate the speed, and nothing. There are some objects whose shape can still be made out. For example, this one. It appears to be wobbling due to atmospheric turbulence, and visually it resembles some kind of aircraft. It again looks like a blimp or some kind of balloon. But of course, the most hype was centered around this star and the photographs from the moon. Let's start with the star. First of all, as usual in this kind of topic, it's not without hoaxes. I've come across images like this many times, which are obviously not real and are not included in the published archive. It seems that enthusiasts asked generative AI to recreate what such a star-shaped object might look like. But the problem is that we are clearly not seeing any star-shaped object here. This is purely an optical effect. First of all, it should be noted that the footage was not taken with a regular camera, but with an infrared one, which can detect things invisible to the human eye, specifically thermal infrared radiation. Next, as I already said, the object itself has been known for a long time, and now only a video has been added. Its strange star-like shape has already been analyzed. We still don't know exactly what the object is, and so far we haven't been able to explain all of its behavior, but at the same time there's also a lot that is quite clear. What clearly attracts most people about this object is its strange shape. Indeed, compared to the dots in other videos, the object looks much more interesting. We can say with almost 100% certainty that this is not the object's actual shape, but an optical effect. Many of you probably immediately noticed that these 4 spikes look very much like the familiar diffraction spikes produced by bright objects, for example in telescope images. The number of spikes and their arrangement can vary depending on the configuration of the optical instrument. In the case of my telescope, I also have secondary mirror installed, as it usually goes, on 4 supports or vanes, and those 4 vanes produce 4 diffraction spikes. In a previously published frame, the telemetry has not been blacked out, and on Metabunk, it was possible to determine which camera was used for the recording. Like this one, and here we can clearly see 4 vanes, and similar spikes appear in other examples taken with such cameras. Still, the image here is a bit more complex, which can depend on a number of parameters, both of the camera and of the object being filmed. Mick West from the Metabunk website found other footage from a similar drone camera showing a very similar pattern. And there are special programs that can, taking into account the camera's parameters, calculate what the diffraction pattern of a bright object would look like when filmed with such a camera. And in the end, a very similar effect was reproduced. So the strange shape is a diffraction effect caused by the characteristics of the camera filming a bright object. It is definitely not the shape of the object itself. In the video, we also see it moving somewhat unusually and leaving a kind of trail behind it. A bright object could be, for example, an aircraft or a rocket engine exhaust. There are still some questions remaining here. Is the trail behind the object real? It could be a thermal trail from an engine or smoke, although with an infrared camera it is more likely a heat signature. Or it could be even an imaging artifact, something like persistence of vision, when it appears that a bright object is leaving a trail behind it. For example, when you move a laser pointer quickly across a surface, it looks like not a point is moving, but a line. The motion pattern can also seem unusual, and it's still not entirely clear whether the object is actually moving that way, or whether it is again an optical illusion caused by the relative motion between the object and the camera, and by the nature of the recording. Again, telemetry on screen would help here, but it has been removed. Although perhaps answers to these questions will still appear. But the main point for now is that this is not an object shaped like a star. After the star and this thing, the most commonly circulated images are probably those from the Apollo missions. This is actually quite strange, and as I already said, these photos weren't classified. Someone simply found supposedly strange things in them and for some reason added them to this archive. There are several similar images there. For example, the one that appears most often, 3 blue dots arranged in a triangular configuration, although there are also individual points or even some streaks. It is strange that these photos have been publicly available for decades, even in high resolution where you can clearly examine all of this, like in this Flickr archive for example. Yet no one paid attention to these objects. Maybe because there's simply nothing there to pay attention to. When I saw this, I immediately thought that they were either imaging artifacts or film artifacts. These photos were taken with a Hasselblad film camera. The film was developed, the photos were printed, and then the film and the prints were scanned. At every stage from the original exposure to the digital image we see today, artifacts could have appeared. Here's a high-resolution file with 3 dots from the Flickr archive. And again, here we can say with almost 100% certainty that these are just artifacts, because people on the internet found high-resolution scans of the Apollo films. And what do we see here? The same blue spots and streaks, but well outside the frame? Given this, publishing these photos in this archive and presenting film artifacts as unidentified objects looks quite strange. So the conclusion for now is this. The nature of some of the objects is not fully known, and certain aspects still can't be completely explained. But there is no basis for thinking that anything presented is aliens. A lot of what was published is already old, well-known material. Another part is unimpressive and even worse than what we've seen before. Plus, it comes with scrubbed telemetry. The Apollo photos are also unclear in terms of why they were included in this list at all, and the star is not a star at all. In short, no aliens so far. But if anything genuinely interesting appears, I'll definitely cover it. Thanks for watching. This is a shorter than usual video. If this is your first time on my channel, feel free to check out my other videos. I have a lot about cosmology, astrophysics, spaceflight, and physics in general. Bye.